Anger is a regular emotion that most of us experience. And just like any of the other emotions, it has also got its own place in our life. It is pious. However, the question is, what is the frequency with which we experience anger? What is the intensity with which we experience anger? And what is it that is angering us? And what are we doing with that anger? Some of us release that anger. Some of us store it deep within us. And yet others say that they have so-called managed that anger. But the point is, whatever you do with that anger, whether you keep it inside or you release it, the impact of anger only comes out over a period of time. Except for that episode of anger where someone really goes ballistic and mercurial and does something to themselves or others, the rage episodes, in most cases, anger and violent thoughts reveal their impact over a period of time. And the impact keeps on worsening over a period of time, whether on yourself or on others or the system, wherever you are. Now, anger is a secondary emotion. It is not the primary face. It's just a face. It's the face of what? It's a face of hurt that you're carrying from some incident or somewhere or something that has happened. Or shame related to money, your body, your incidences, or somebody in your life. Or it's the fear of losing out, fear of some repercussions in your life. Or it is a deep-seated guilt of something that's happened in your life. It could also be from jealousy. It could even be feeling powerless in a given situation and that rage coming out really badly. Now, the problem with this secondary emotion is that we are today living in a world where it is now getting reported that there is significant increase in the stress in the modern life. From sources that quote about 65% of people being stressed most of the times to saying about 85-90% of the population is experiencing stress, especially in the urban areas or especially in areas where there are some sort of harshness from wars to weather. It's a very commonplace post-COVID to see increased expression of stress and anger and violent thoughts from families and domestic violence issues to the streets in terms of road rage, gang wars, to murders. And you hear of so many stories of jilted lovers doing things, adolescents doing things. In fact, some adolescent group tests have revealed that anything between 30 to 40% to 67-80% of adolescents in certain areas have reported major anger issues. Sometime back, I was reading a report of one of the Indian cities where it was reported that 70+% of adolescents were experiencing driving anger. This is the kind of anger which gets you to do certain very bad things. And why is this anger getting so bad? Because ultimately, anger, the secondary emotion, is just a defense mechanism. It is the body telling you to fight or, get into a response mechanism for something that is happening around you. And many times that anger, because of the underlying issues of hurt or guilt or jealousy or whatever is the source of it, or the sorrow, and many times sorrow drives you to that anger, is causing a deep misplaced judgment. And in that misplaced judgment, the beliefs that we are choosing, the reactions that we are choosing, the actions that we are taking up are very negative actions. This gets further complicated because in our society, anger is also very socially programmed. And across the globe today, you will see everything from rebellious books and movies where glorified anger comes out in the battle of a protagonist of a society, etc. Is a very commonplace. Even in some families, it is the parents, it's the uncles, aunties, it's the extended family, it's a community which is showing display of anger, sometimes to suppress the other gender, sometimes to suppress other people, sometimes to fight for a certain cause. But let's also understand that while in the society, books and movies are glorifying this anger, and also families are upholding that anger, this is not the best of the expression, because there may be some truth in the struggles that we all have as a community, as human beings, of how power, control, etc. can be exercised. But is violence, is anger the way to achieve it? Definitely not. And that is why, with the world currently going in the way that it is going, with stress going up, with adolescent anger going up, we are sitting on a ticking time bomb that is worse than the pandemics that we possibly have seen. Because anger is so much of a part of our life that it is going unnoticed. In our organizations, in our communities, in our families, we are today significantly suffering, and you must take a notice of this in your life and fix it. Otherwise, we don't know when the next episode at home or office or a road rage is something that you're going to be facing, because any expression of anger or violence can very quickly go from just an exchange to a serious skirmish, to a very third degree violent physical battle, which often ends up in either the courtroom, a hospital, or a morgue. And that's something that we have seen so many times in the recent times. So, is it important for you to do something about this? Yes, absolutely. So the phenomena that anger is, the psychological phenomena that anger is, the social phenomena that the anger is, the cultural phenomena that the anger is, and the way it has got ingrained can only be taken care of if we are going to learn deep emotional management. And that's something that we need to look at. And that solution of emotional management, of learning communication, of dealing with people, of dealing with relationships, is something that we all need to understand. See, our life goes on, and there are so many things that are going to happen, from the office to the road to the family. And in each one of these situations, an emotion is really not going to do anything for you. In fact, an emotion just about sits inside our head, and whatever it does, it only does to us. It creates certain changes in the body, it changes our expression, it changes our expression of energy, it changes our thoughts. But what does it do for us in the outside world? Very little positive. Many times it's the negative that it is creating out there. So, emotional management must be learned. Learning social management, learning relationship management, learning communication management is a must. So, the challenge of anger and thoughts can definitely be catered to by learning the skills to live our life. So, skills is a very important solution to life, and the skills of living life can take us to a great extent to be in harmony, to be in peace, to be in joy. However, there's a second side of the story. And what is that side of the story? The story where it's no more just an emotion. And in today's life, with many of us, for extended periods of time, we are angry. Extended periods of time at home, with the partner, with children, with parents, or at work with our bosses or colleagues or suppliers, or in general, the way we are just about walking angry. And this is the situation where it's no more just an emotion. The anger and violent thoughts have now become our second nature. They are pretty much becoming the walking, talking persona that we are. And what is happening then? How has that biological phenomena, the psychological phenomena, the social phenomena of anger now taken over us? And that's happened because, literally, as Ayurveda would explain, or as neurologists would explain, the biological constitution of who we are has changed. The neurotransmitters that we are carrying, the chemicals in our brain have changed. The way hormones are getting secreted in our body themselves have changed. The way oxygen is getting carried, the way our frontal lobe is doing what it is doing, the way our amygdala, our hypothalamus, which are the deeper parts of the brain which control the emotional seat, they are now behaving in a very twisted way. Their hypersensitivity to incidences in our life, their hyper drive to fight and flight is now at a level where the nervous system is reacting to the smallest of things. And add to that what Ayurveda says, that with the extended periods of stress, this anger and violent thoughts are also coming because of the rise of pitta or the rajas, and along with that, the rajas guna in our body. Because we are so driven, many of us are so ambitious, we want to do so many things in life. And then when you meet resistance, what happens? That heat, that anger rises. So the rajas guna of what we want to do and achieve and excel and be driven in life, when that meets all the bodily pitta, which is the heat, that doesn't really help us. Much of this is also coming from the kind of food that we eat, junk food, the smoking, the alcohol, all the chemicals in the food that we have, along with very bad patterns of lifestyle, which is lack of exercise, lack of clean air, lack of access to clean water, good amount of meditation, bodily flexibility. Along with that, then you have the lifestyle illnesses like the blood pressures, the diabetes, the thyroid issues, etc. So all in all, when that little emotion of anger and some violent thoughts have internalized themselves, our body constitution is changing, and as our body constitution changes, it further enhances these challenges. So at some point in time, skills won't help with anger. Skills won't help with violent thoughts. We will literally need to come to a place where we are doing lifestyle management. We will need to heal our energy. We'll need to clear our energy blockages. We'll need to clear our physical challenges. Our physical body requires resetting. And that's where a good deep Ayurvedic living and cleansing mechanism, a good deep reset of your neurotransmitters and of your entire nervous system is often required. So anything from herbal retreats to naturopathy to understanding and using Ayurveda, homeopathy, etc. in your life, all the way to regular practice of yoga, breathing techniques, etc. will help. However, much of this has to be done under the eyes of a good guided practitioner. So as long as you are experiencing anger once in a while, skills will help. But if anger really is becoming a second nature, a deeper habit, which is so the case with many of us in society today, it's only a deep life set reset and deep support from Ayurveda, naturopathy, homeopathy, etc. that will help you, and you will have to go in that direction. That's the only way. Otherwise, anger, just like any ripple, first touches us. Remember, anger is that smoke which is coming from a very deep fire. It isn't coming from a superficial fire. So the solution to anger also has to be a very deep-rooted one. Not just for you, but for your family, our society to heal. And if some of you are listening to me here and if you have adolescent children, then you definitely need to take anger, because if there is one set of population which definitely experiences a lot of anger and stores a lot of anger and is very passive aggressive towards others in their life, is the adolescent population. If you have an adolescent child, or if your child is going to get into that zone, then definitely you need to take action. Read, understand, ask for help. But anger and violent thoughts are not the kind of things that you want to live with.